Yo, so many banelings, Tasteless, crashing on in. Is this working? Wardy, is this working?
David Kim in the Darth Sidious outfit. He's like, good, let the hate flow.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my coverage of the unbroadcasted WCS NA Challenger games. My name is Fear Dragon, and we have got an exciting day for you guys today as we get started with some of the most awesome games that did not get commentated or covered or casted at all. It's going to be a really fun day. I am really looking forward to this. So here is the deal. In the past, for those who are unaware, WCS NA Challenger wasn't the format it is currently. Used to be not this double elimination bracket where it acted effectively as a big qualifier for an event. Instead, the way that people used to think of it was this was the big event. This was the big premier thing you needed to perform well in. Sure, you did have some offline events, and of course they were very important, but WCS was the most important thing. And every match was broadcasted, and the games were incredibly awesome to watch. There was a lot of hype and fun behind it. But now, there's a little bit of a sadness that I think comes with WCS NA Challenger. Not all the games are broadcasted. In fact, a lot of them go completely unseen. In fact, if it weren't for a few people who did end up covering some of the winners bracket matches, we might have actually seen the double elimination winners finals just go completely unseen for multiple of these WCS NA Challenger seasons because they're not a qualifying match. So mainstream doesn't cover it, and mainstream's the only one usually commentating on day 2. So what I decided to do was I decided to round up all the replays from the players that did not get broadcasted. We have a crazy large lineup. In fact, I am a little bit afraid that we may not finish in time for day 2, which is in almost 7 hours, to give you an idea of how many games I think there are. We have, let's see, 5 best of 5s to cover and 4 best of 3s. We got awesome players like Masa, Silky, Raze, Jon Snow, Puck, Game Time, Volt, True, QXC, Panda Bear, me, Bales. All these awesome players going to be playing today and showing us some really fun games. Now, I want to remind you guys, these are games that happened yesterday. So, yes, spoilers are available if you go search for them online, but I ask that you do not bring any of them into the chat or into the comment section or whatever, just because obviously you don't want to spoil anything for anybody else. But with that being said, let's talk about our first match. We're going to be getting started with Masa versus Silky. Now, just to set up a bit of context about these two guys, Masa has been on an absolute tear lately. And you guys may have heard a little bit about how awesome he's playing in general, but he, on just this past Sunday, so about 6 days ago, was able to go 4-3 with Neeb himself in a best of 7. You know what the funny thing is? Masa, in almost every game I have commentated of him, I casted him doing the OSC Masters Cup last Friday, so this was about 8 days ago. And he played versus Snoot, he played versus a few other players, and I think he proxied every single game. He went for Proxy 3Rex, he went for Proxy 3X Reaper versus Marines, he went for Proxy Factories, all kind. I mean, pretty sure he also proxied some Banshees or something at some point. Just absolute madness in terms of how many ridiculous proxies he had up his sleeve. And he did the same thing versus Neeb too. He proxied 6 out of 7 games. In fact, the one game he didn't proxy was the game that one of the games that he lost. So I'm just saying, kind of a little bit maybe telling. So I am really looking forward to seeing. I don't know why Masa has a Terran logo. Hold on. Oh, I think I know why. Do forgive me for a moment. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of shenanigans. Hold on. We're not actually going to a break screen. I just need to fix some things really quickly. Okay, so give me a moment, and I'm gonna have. Thank you very much, by the way, Zelzam for the host, and thank you Juvia Locker for letting me know that toss icon with Terran. Okay, so now it should be fixed. There we go. Sorry, everything's been a little bit slow today. There we go. Masa from Team Elevate, of course, a very, very successful player. And, you know, it's so awesome to see Masa doing well, because I know that he was feeling a little bit down on himself. He was saying he doesn't feel like he's been playing all that well lately, but I think he's actually been playing pretty. It's sort of funny, right? Normally, I would say, oh man, I think he's actually been doing relatively awesome. I mean, look at that TVZ win rate, 90% across the past 31 games. This is 91% of competitive matches that he's played, competitive games that he's played. Of course, Silky, the North American Zerg player, is not to be confused with the player that recently got banned from WCS events for match fixing as a Chinese player instead. But he is also a big up-and-coming name in the scene lately, just because he was one of those players that you just see in a lot of brackets, and honestly, I was never quite certain for a very long time whether Silky was really heavily committed to StarCraft, if it was just one of those things he was doing for fun, but just happened to be really good at. But recently, I've definitely seen a lot of dedication, a big rise up in Silky in the past, I would say about 2 months only. Now, he still has got to get some big results. That $1,570 mostly comes, I think, from the previous seasons of Challenger that he recently qualified for, as well as also just like a lot of small online cup, not even victories so much as it is a couple of second or third places here and there. Maybe he's won one or two of them, but really is still looking to prove himself, I think. So with that being said, we're going to get ready to hop onto game number 1 between these two players. This is played from the winners round of 16. Winners round of 16 is a best of 5. So we'll see you guys on Proxima Station for game 1. Here we are, beginning our day as we start up here at the top right-hand corner of the map, top of the red Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming. Put your hands together for Silky, American Zerg player. And his opponents find down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the pink Terran, representing Elevate, and of course Canada. Give it up for Masa. Zelzam booing Masa. But, okay, we already got some shenanigans coming out from booing Silky. But man, we already got some shenanigans coming out from this guy. He's got the double barracks going down inside his main base. We'll likely be seeing that third barracks. So granted, there are some 2 Rax Reaper openings that you can go for, and you can get a slightly faster third command center, but no, Masa's not about that life. This has just been Masa lately. I would say the past 2 weeks, I have seen him go for 1 base all-ins and proxies and everything under the sun to an insane degree. I mean, it is kind of almost alarming how often he's been going for these, but he's still winning. This is the scary thing about Masa, is that for any other player, I think, any other player under the sun, except for maybe like Printf, who's notorious for cannon rushing, I would say Masa, oh man, you know, he's eventually going to run out of luck. He's going to run out of steam. This is just not a reliable playstyle. But apparently Masa, this is just how he can play and win. And the funny thing is, I think that this actually comes from a place of low not self-esteem in like a personal self-worth sense, but a low self-esteem in terms of his game skill. He keeps complaining about how he feels like he's actually not playing that well. He's not that good, but he keeps going for the proxies because of it and ends up doing rather well for himself. So I don't know if he's starting to build up self-esteem for how good of a player he is or what, but so far Silky is gonna have to he's gonna have to deal with a lot of these, I think, this series. Either way, though, he's obviously very much aware of what exactly is going on. He's got the spine crawler set up now. We do have a spawning pool with Zergling speed being researched, so he's going to go for the Ling Queen defense as opposed to the Roach Warren. That can make things sometimes a little bit easier, but of course your transition is not quite as good into the mid-game stage. Reapers on this map really only have one kind of avenue that they can move in from, though, so this makes it a much easier map for Silky to actually defend against the Reapers. All he has to do is hold this line over here. If these Reapers ever try and go for a big run by, I mean, they're going to be taking some damage from that spine crawler. One Queen does go down, though. Nice pick off over there for Masa, as the Queen only just barely got enough energy for the transfuse, and going to be expending that on the spine crawler. But we got a hatchery coming out behind this. We got double command centers coming out behind this for Masa as well. So he is transitioning out after having done a little bit of damage, forcing out a lot of units. Not actually killing too many things. Killed off 2 Lings and a Queen. But 20 Lings now out for Silky, and he's rallying them all back. Notice that he's hiding them way back here. He doesn't want Masa to have full awareness of exactly how many Lings have been made. He really wants Masa to commit in over here thinking, oh, well, you don't have that much. I could probably take you. Okay, well, as I said before, third command center also being built. Double evolution chambers going up also from Silky, so he is getting ready to truly transition out. While Masa just continues to harass with these Reaper grenades, just trying to get the free damage down. But here we go. Silky finally finishing up Zergling speed, is now trying to go for the full surround to clean up these Reapers. They can be such an annoying pest if you don't kill them off. Oh, but Masa gets away with them, and they are going to continue to be annoying. Those Reaper grenades just do so much splash damage built up between all of them. Those Lings cannot really contend with them. Even with Zergling speed finished up, you don't want to be engaging against those guys. But Factory comes out, and Masa is set up for kind of a really strong mid game. And of course, Proxima Station, a map where you can very easily defend a third expansion. You don't have to worry about defending 2 different bases and bunkering up multiple locations and everything. No, you just put all your units right over here, and you grab your third, and maybe get 1 or something bunker. You start walling off over here, and you're secured. You don't have to worry about anything until your opponent decides to go for some kind of mutaplay. And we're not going to be seeing that kind of mutaplay for a bit, since Silky still not opting to go for that lair just yet. In fact, finally getting up his Baneling Nest, but also getting a burrow a lot earlier on than you oftentimes see. I wonder if this is going to lead in some kind of burrow Baneling play, or if he's really just looking to try and send 1 Ling in and burrow it over by the third. Unfortunately for him, the Reapers are sitting at that third expansion, so he's not actually going to be able to get a burrow off, but still would have been a cute play. Seems like no, wasn't what he was going for anyways. Burrow's not going to be finishing up for a little bit. Really awesome for Silky, though, that he is almost 75 or 60% of the way done with his 1-1 upgrades, whereas Masa, because he went for the faster 3cc, didn't opt to get up those engineering bays or a ton of marines, so he's not going to be as well situated for upgrades moving into the mid-game stage, but he's still going to have his double medevacs now finally out. He's still got these Reapers alive, and he's going to have a booming economy to go for a bigger mid-game push in about 3 or so minutes. Silky's Overlord does spout out to the 2 medevacs that are now there. He's already made his Banelings, but with no lair tech finished up just yet, that means that these Banelings do not have speed, so some good focus fire from Masa. I mean, that's exactly what you can expect from Masa, is good micro. Should be able to avoid these Banelings and focus fire them down. No, actually just opting to pick up. I think he picked up a lot of Reapers here. Yeah, I picked up 2 Reapers, or 4 Reapers, sorry. Loses a few Marines in the process. Good focus fire from Silky, by the way. You already noticed that this medevac is a bit lower on health, and that does cut down the sustainability of Masa's push, but Masa able to target fire down 1 of the Banelings and putting a bit of fear into Silky, knowing that, hey, I can't just easily engage in and just move in. Even if I am on creep, I don't have Baneling speed just yet. Baneling speed only recently started. Reaper is gonna clean up the creep spread, using some of those grenades to try and get some damage done, but likely he's gonna end up losing almost all the Reapers, if not all of them. Two Widow Mines also going at the same time. Masa goes for a double drop over in the main base, pulling all the workers, and another drop comes in over here to the 4th expansion, killing off the 4th expansion. Oh my god, he might even kill the Baneling Nest before Centrifugal Hooks finishes. No Baneling speed coming today. Masa does pick up at the last second as well, avoiding the Baneling connections, gonna kill off even more Lings, and potentially a couple more drones as well. Silky desperately trying to defend, but look at this focus fire from Masa. Oh my god, making Terran look so goddamn dirty. How do you even compete with this? G gets called, GG gets called, and Masa takes game number 1. Do I not have game sounds? Oh man, hold on. I think I forgot to do something. Oh, I forgot to do something with my audio. Give me a moment. There we go. Hopefully that should fix it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I do have game sounds. Okay, well, it's just that I couldn't hear it. Apparently, all of my audio was playing through my speakers instead of my headphones, so I thought I didn't have game sounds. But either way, congratulations, Masa going up 1-0 with just a dominating performance, and not because I feel like Silky made brutal errors or anything. Obviously, he invested into, like, faster burrow. It got up really fast upgrades and delayed his lair, so he didn't have Baneling speed. That's of course going to be a bit painful. And sure, the queens, some of them ended up dying early on to the Reaper harassment and everything, and obviously a lot of them were very far forward, trying to defend and spread the creep, so he wasn't quite prepared for the drop in the main base, just darting back and forth. Proxima is a very good map for that, but still, that was really, really scary play from Masa. That is the kind of play that you watch and just say, well, what does a Zerg do about that? Really, what do you do? Not saying that it's imbalanced or anything, but just, I don't have the solution. I hope Silky can come up with one, because we're hopping on to Sequencer for game number 2. We'll see you guys there. Here we are hopping into game number 2 in this best of 5 from the winners round of 16. Spline down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have the pink Terran player sitting up 1-0. Give it up for Masa from Elevate Gaming. And his opponent spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player. Give it up for Psystorm Gaming Silky. I also can hear the sound of Jason Pun in the back of my head from Team Elevate saying, it's not Elevate Gaming, it's Team Elevate. I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry. One day I will remember to say that. And I will also remember to say Team Dust and not Dust Esports. And I'll remember to say, what else is there? Oh, Root OS, or sorry, I need to say OSC Root instead of Root OSC. Okay, Silky, though, on Sequencer, a very long map, which I've seen a few proxies on, of course. I've seen 3Rax Reaper also come out a lot on this map as well, just because there's so many different cliff faces that it's much easier, even if your opponent gets up Zergling speed, to kind of dart in toward one of these cliff faces, avoid your opponent's Lings. You got all these kind of places where there's rocks also obscuring the path for the Lings themselves. But overall, we do have an early pool coming out from Silky, playing it very defensive, not feeling as confident against Masa's kind of crazy aggression. And then meanwhile, Masa just says, well, I'm just going to go for a 1-Rax expansion, get out 1 Reaper, and sorry, dog. Okay. That's the beauty of replays, ladies and gentlemen, is we don't give a damn when there are delays and the players ask for 25 minutes to go use the restroom. Because, you know, sometimes when you go to Chipotle, You just need a lot longer in that restroom to actually get through. Okay, but Factory plopping down next to the reactor. We're going to see a Hellion opening coming out from Masa. I'm interested to see if Silky, who I know really does like watching a lot of the Korean Zergs out there, even though I know most people don't really think of Korean Zergs as being, oh man, the epitome of StarCraft Zergs. A lot of people think of the European Zergs instead. But I know Silky really does like watching a lot of the Korean StarCraft, and because of that, he oftentimes does end up playing a little bit more toward the Ling Bling Muta style. Whereas I think some European players are still a bit more open to opening up with Roaches, going into Roach Ravager Hydra, etc. I'm not expecting to see that out of Silky, but I still think it's a possibility, especially if he ends up having a lot of trouble dealing with some of the harassment, splitting up his units. I think it may not be the worst idea for him, just because Ling Bling Muta, you really are reliant on getting some really solid engagements, whereas Roach Hydra, I feel like you can kind of just power your way through them. You need to split up your units appropriately, and of course, there's a lot of other problems that come with it. But if your main problem that you're, the main thing that you're afraid of is that you're going to be torn apart by a lot of multi-pronged harassment from your opponent, then Roach Hydra maybe not the worst thing in the world. Well, Reaper up to 2 kills so far. I believe just 1 drone and 1 Link, so not too bad. Cloak Banshees are most likely going to be on the way after this medevac pops out, though. As Masa really only has, let's see, the 4 Hellions out on the map. And where is that medevac? The medevac is probably going to be rallied forward to join up with the Reaper and these Hellions. Hellions can actually just be unloaded over into the main base. And you'll notice that this expansion has not been taken by Silky. If you're not too familiar with Sequencer, this expansion is not exactly the most fun expansion to have, just because you have only 1 gas geyser. You only have 6 mineral patches instead of the usual 8, so your economy is severely hampered if you go for it. Instead, most Zerg players pretty content with taking this 3rd expansion instead. Okay, but the medevac is now out. It's going to load up these 4 Hellions and drop over into the main base, while I imagine the Reaper is going to try and poke in over to the 3rd, try and pull some of the units over there for the big old bait and switch. But medevac is going to get scouted before the Hellions do, and the Roaches are out. So I take back what I said. It seems like Silky a little bit more open, experimenting with some of that Roach Ravager play. 1 Reaper also going to do little bits and moderate damage. Kind of just annoying, expending a little bit of extra APM for Silky. But all 4 Hellions make it out alive. The medevac makes it out alive. And it's going to be about that Banshee follow-up. Only 1 Banshee was made so far, though. No more units being made from that starport right now. But that Banshee's going to be well-timed out with the Cloak upgrade finishing up. 2nd Banshee does finally get started up, so he's not quite done with this just yet. In the meanwhile, of course, you notice all the barracks going up. Masa getting into that usual Terran mid-game. But as far as I'm aware, yeah, okay, he did finish up a 3rd command center, so he is prepared to go for a big transition. Overseer's already prepared, though. Silky going for not only Roachhorn, but a much faster lair this game. Delaying his upgrades and obviously not going for Burrow. Hellion's able to get a little bit of damage done so far. 10 workers killed this game. I believe maybe around 7 or 8 of them killed with that last little Hellion run by. Banshee has to make its way on home, though. Not really accomplishing a hell of a lot. There's going to be an armory coming down. Likely just for the 2-2 upgrades, but also kind of nice because since he's kept... Well, he didn't really keep any of the Hellions alive, and it seems like he did swap his factory off to the tech lab, so now he's making siege tanks. Not really useful for Hellbats in that case if you don't have any Hellions to make Hellbats with. But okay, Silky, so interesting. Just went for 5 Roaches and then just goes straight back out into making a lot of Lings, making a lot of Banelings, getting up his melee upgrades. It really was just a bit of a fear, I think, of a big Hellbat attack. Because otherwise, I can't really imagine too many reasons why he would go for that small number of Roaches, but still commit into the Roach Warren and get them up so early. Banshee killing some Lings over at the Zelnaga Watchtower, just securing a bit of vision. But Masa is going to be relatively tied up with those upgrades this game, as opposed to being a solid 40 or so seconds behind The clever play from Silky in the last game had a big cost in the sense that he wasn't quite prepared to deal all the forms of multi-pronged aggression. So, changing it up, he's going to be sitting a bit more even on upgrades. The important thing is that he needs to finish up Centrifugal hooks to try and make sure he doesn't take any too terrible engagements. Granted, this is only, what, 6 or 7 Marines? 6 Marines? So he shouldn't be in too much fear just yet. The Banshees are going to be rather annoying, though. 2 Banshees can take on a Queen. Oh, that one Banshee gets so close to being picked off, but a Banshee that escapes with even 1 hit point left over can be repaired back up to full at a minimal cost. Liberator production beginning. This is the interesting thing about Masa right now, is that he does not have that many medevacs out. He's got 3 medevacs, and he's got a lot of bio, but that does mean that every single one of those stims is going to be a bit more costly. He's going to have a harder time moving forward and then just segmenting off units, as some Terran players really love to do. I know Semper's definitely one of those kind of players. But he's doing a good job of at least keeping the medevacs he does have alive. He hasn't really lost any. So, as long as he keeps them alive, he can afford to continue making other units like these Liberators, like the Banshees, and continue to go for other forms of harass. Okay, this is interesting. We've got a Thor coming out. So anticipating the big Muta tech switch, he is going to go for some form of anti-air, but not the usual form of anti-air that you end up seeing these days. Sure, they've had a couple of changes that make them a bit better versus the Mutas, but I would still say a bit unusual. Losing 1 medevac over there. A couple of Marines do survive on the low ground. I think that was overall a worthwhile trade, even if he ends up losing the medevac. I think he traded out for quite a few Banelings, but here we go. Silky's going to come charging on in, cleaning up all the Marines and these siege tanks at the front line, and this is an absolute wash right now. Masa's attack not getting quite as much done over there, but he does drop over in the natural expansion at the same time. Seems like a single Marine just walking its way through the random bits of Silky's base, but losing another medevac. Now, Masa reduced down to just 2, as 2 just recently popped. They are out on the other side of the map. He's got a lot of these Marines stemming forward, taking out a good chunk of these Lings. A lot of Banelings have gone down. I want to note that these are Banelings that were killed, not Banelings that just suicided in. Banelings that were specifically focus fired down and killed. And more of these Banelings getting target fired down. Another Baneling goes down. The Liberator's going to get taken out. Banelings do finally get some good connections. And those 5 Roaches finally coming in handy, as he's able to clean up Masa's push once again. Silky also takes the top left-hand base and has those 2-2 upgrades very close to finishing up. Oh, Thor is going to be able to push Silky back for now, but Silky's been taking some pretty good trades. Okay, not the best Baneling trades, but still good enough to clean up some of these units. Masa microing his heart out with this Thor and is able to get some ridiculously good AoE damage done on those Mutas. The Mutas overcommitting more than just a little bit, losing 13 of them in maybe the past minute or 2. Okay, these Roaches are finally going to end up falling, I think, because one of them has already fallen. Another one will end up falling here. Silky's trying to knock down these rocks. I don't think he's going to have the time to. Loses another Muta. Is trying desperately to morph in some Banelings, but morphing him in range of the low ground. Thor is going to be very difficult to clean up over here, as well as more and more of these Mutas starting to take additional damage. The reinforcing rally for Masa is almost just a natural split that ends up coming out from his units, so he's not taking that much damage from most of these Banelings, and gradually he's starting to make more and more progress. Silky is going to start running out of steam pretty soon. He's actually out of larva right now, 32 Lings on the way, but he needs Lings and Banelings right now. He needs more time. Masa, in the meanwhile, has established that 4th expansion. Isn't mining for any gas over there, but I don't think it really needs it just yet. For now, he's really just focused on pushing forward and continuing his momentum. Couple of the Mutas segmenting themselves off along the left-hand side of the map. Interestingly enough, maybe Silky feels like he has more time to work with than he really does. Maybe he feels like he can buy time with those Mutas, but I feel like it'd be... well, he might just need every single unit he's got right now to defend. He is starting to clean up Masa's units, but again, it's about that rally-in reinforcement. All these units are so well spread out that it becomes so difficult for Silky to actually engage in anything. Muta's not able to make a whole lot happen in the bottom left, and now Masa, I don't know if he's trying to segment off or catch these Mutas, or if he's just going for that top left-hand base, but finally enough Lings are here. He will be able to clean up this force, I believe, but the Muta's getting focus fire down. Almost every single one of them is going to end up falling. Well, some of them do survive, but with very few hit points, and that Thor is out for blood. Killing off another Muta with every single one of these shots, if not two of them. Oh my god, this micro from Masa. Oh my, is he going to keep this Thor alive? No way. No way. He survives with the Thor, reduces Silky's Muta count down to just 1 again. There's a few more Mutas are going to be coming out. There was an Infestation Fit dropped a while ago. He's going up to that Hive Tech, so he can eventually get up those 3-3 upgrades, but of course get into maybe an Ultralisk Cavern or something to help deal with this force, this propelling force from Masa that is just ceaseless with the aggression. It's just a continuous rally across the map. I don't think he's given Silky more than 20 seconds of breathing room for this last, I don't know, 6-7 minutes. Couple drones getting caught, but here we go. Masa is going to get fully surrounded over here. This is not looking that great for him. But the Thors continue to rally on back. The Marines coming back from the front lines, or from the back lines. How is this Thor still alive? This is not even just 13 Ling kills. This is like 8 or 9 Muta kills and maybe 4 or 5 Ling kills. Silky just doesn't have any Banelings this time. I don't think he can take on this army anymore. He's gradually starting to lose everything. 3 more Banelings are about to finish up. Masa focus fires down one of them, splits off his Marines beautifully, and takes the game. GG gets called. Masa goes up 2-0 in this best of 5. What the actual hell, Masa? That is, oh, some scary aggression coming out of Masa. I just don't know how you deal with that. I don't even feel like Silky was taking terrible engagements, but Masa making it look so difficult to ever engage into him. And even when it looked like Silky should have been able to win the fight, there is just this consistent rally, this parade push of units streaming across the map that are effectively pre-split just because they popped out of their barracks at a slightly different time. So they're slightly spread out. Well, Silky has to come up with some sort of answer to Masa's aggression. It seems like just continuing to go for Ling Bling Muta is not quite working out. Again, maybe the answer is to go for the Roach, Ravager, and Hydra play. Just because oftentimes a lot of Terran players have to go for Siege Tanks or opt to go for Siege Tanks in those situations. I guess the other funny thing is there's not even that many Widow Mines mixed. There's 0 Widow Mines that were made that last game that I'm aware of. And even in game number 1, I think I maybe saw 2 Widow Mines, but those really weren't the big game changers. So it's not even a matter of, okay, force out Siege Tanks so that they aren't making Widow Mines because I'm taking big hits or anything. No, it's oddly enough just straight up the bio forces that are causing so many problems. So we'll find out what exactly Silky's got up his sleeves to try and deal with Masa. As we hop into game number 3, it's match point. It's going to be on Odyssey. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are hopping into game number 3. It is match point for this player down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. The pink Terran player from Team Elevate. Put your hands together for the Canadian Masa. And his opponents spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the Blue Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming, really desperately looking for a win right now. Put your hands together for Silky. Okay, we got another gas pool opening. Silky still afraid about those Reapers, and with good reason, as we do have 1, 2, 3 barracks coming on down, a Reaper being made, and of course gas being mined. We're going to be seeing a lot of early aggression coming out from Masa once again. That first game that they played on Proxima Station, Masa only ended up making maybe around 6 to 7 Reapers, I believe. So, didn't really overcommit too much into that triple Reaper production. Transitioned out very, very quickly and was able to get up to 3 CCs. Was able to just push in and get out enough units to put on the counter aggression in a way that Silky was just unprepared for. Silky took some risks in that game, for sure. Trying to get up the much faster double Evo chamber and again the burrow play. So we'll see if he can maybe play things out a little bit differently, a little bit more conservatively, and deal with this aggression and transition now into a better position than he would have otherwise. Well, the first Reaper pokes his head on in, but I think the Overlord is going to be scouting out those Reapers. Yep, sees the second Reaper and should immediately know. Okay, wait a second. I know what this is. I gotta start preparing. No more drones gonna be made for a little bit, as it's gonna be non-stop Ling production. Reaper does survive with a few hit points, and Silky wants it. Silky really wants that Reaper, but Masa's not gonna give it to him. A little bit too experienced with this kind of play. Creep Tumor is really, really nice if you can get it up, just because it not only allows your Lings a little bit additional speed further out into the map, but it also allows your Queens to get a little bit more aggressive as well, as they can move out further. But oh, gets us around to one of the Reapers. Really nice pickoff. This build, as many people know, because we've been seeing it for such a long time in the meta now, it's all about snowballing. It's all about making sure you don't lose any of your Reapers, and so you can just continue to build up their number and take really, really good engagements, surprisingly good engagements against your opponent. Well, Command Center does come down behind this for Masa. We'll see if he opts to go for a third. Just adding on an additional barracks. An additional 2 barracks. Wait a second. Is Masa going with non-stop Reaper production? Normally, if you add on the additional barracks, you're actually looking to go into 5 Reaper production at a time. There's a chance that it'll just create some add-ons, but if you're looking to transition now, usually you either go for the factory or you go for a third command center, and I'm not seeing that out of Masa. Engineering bay, oh my god, I think he's doing it. I think he's going to go for just mass Reaper right now. You get up the engineering bay, you get a +1 weapons for these Reapers, you actually kill those Lings a lot quicker, and of course you kill the Queens a lot quicker as well. But yeah, there it is. 4 Reapers being made at a time. As soon as this 5th barracks finishes up, we're going to be seeing 5 at a time. Silky is making drones right now, which, I mean, is actually kind of okay, but he has to be so careful not to over-drone right now. He needs as many units as possible. He's going to be able to get a full surround, potentially, on this army of Reapers, but Masa's doing such a good job with these Reaper grenades, tossing around these Lings in every which direction. So many of them are softened up, and Silky has to back up, but Masa has lost 6 Reapers in the process in exchange for only around, what, 13 Lings? This is not the kind of trades exactly that Masa wants to go for, but now he should be able to take more direct fights with these Reapers. Just because so many of these Lings have been softened up, and the numbers are not that high. Queens are finally joining the fray as the 3rd expansion has been taken. +1 weapons on the way. Masa needs to keep his Reapers alive long enough to make use of that. Silky's looking to go first round, maybe overcommitting a little bit. He does back up. He knows that that cliff is over there. You cannot engage too close to those cliffs, just because it's an immediate out, an escape mechanism for Masa. Queen's starting to take splash damage. That is one of the big advantages of those Reaper grenades. It's not just about the fact that they toss everything around. It's about the fact that they split up the damage and make it hard to transfuse any particular Queen. The only Queen that's going to have energy for transfuses is, in fact, the lowest on health right now. Oh, Ling's got to be careful. They cannot just be caught over here at this choke point. But they do manage to make it down the ramp and move around to the right-hand side. Masa senses this, goes for a scan, maybe to clean up some creep, but instead ends up just running away, seeing all these Lings. still, he's taking better and better trades. I think that this is starting to snowball a little bit for Masa. He's able to take a direct fight against the queen, snipes off one queen, snipes off a second queen, third queen not going to make it back onto creep. And only one queen is left over for the fight. A second queen does pop out over here. Silky is trying his best to hold on, but he's... Okay, did he just finish up Carapace upgrade? Okay, that's really, really cool. I've never seen the Carapace upgrade go up this fast to deal with the weapons upgrade against this build. But now Masa is starting to bleed out quite a few of these Reapers. I'm not sure if he actually has enough anymore. With the queens popping out 2 or 3 at a time, Silky is starting to stabilize more and more, and Masa does not have a factory behind this. Ling's getting a full surround on some of these Reapers, a lot of them getting picked off. This might be the big break that Silky was looking for. As the last few Reapers do end up falling, Silky manages to hold on to his third expansion. But at what cost? How many Lings did he have to make? How many Lings did he lose? 99 Zerglings in exchange for those 28 Reapers. And while that isn't actually kind of arguably not as bad trade as it could have been, because they are even on supply, it is about the fact that most of that is army supply right now in Lings that are absolutely useless for Silky. He's down almost 17 workers. He doesn't have a layer tech until just now he gets started up with that. His Baneling nest is finished up, but he doesn't have a single Baneling to his name. And it's going to be so difficult for him to actually get realistically aggressive against Masa. Masa, even with just a handful of Reapers, he's still making Reapers. Are you kidding me? I really thought he was going to transition out. But nope, it's still just 5 Reapers at a time. Well, these Reapers do have +1 attack. Some Lings trying to go for a counterattack. Actually catching some of the SCVs in the middle of the transfer, so pretty nice run by for Silky. Let's see. Where are those Reapers, though? Seems like Masa may have just pulled back with most of them to try and deal with the Ling counterattack. In large numbers, these Reapers should have better engagements versus the Lings. It's a matter of surface area, as well as how fast they, or how well they scale into the mid-game stage. But Masa needs to rebuild up that Reaper count. In the meanwhile, we do have a Spire coming down for Silky. If that Spire comes out, I don't know if Masa can just even win this game anymore. He's got a missile turret coming up, so it seems like he is expecting this, but it gets canceled as Silky also scouts that out and should know, okay, Masa's going to be preparing for this. It's very well possible that he also just gets up a tech lab on this factory and starts getting out Thors once again very soon. But finally, Marine production has started. We've got 11 Marines being produced at a time, and Masa is finally ready to transition out, but his third expansion very, very late on. Still not even able to land, and still not even an orbital command, so gonna be a very annoying situation for Masa to try and finally push back all these Lings, but he should be able to do it with the Reapers, at least chasing around those Lings. He's got 16 of them still alive. Looks like just a small chunk of them try and go for the force the lift up. Silky finally grabbing a 4th expansion, and that Spire is eventually finished up. Now, Masa does have all of that Marine production that's been kicked into overdrive. He's got Stim already. The 4th expansion gonna get canceled. Hard to actually make a hatchery next to 16 Reapers. This is that weird sense of almost map control that I really love about, and I know a lot of people will complain about Reapers these days, especially Zerg players lately, but one of the really cool things that I feel like I enjoy is the sense that both players have a good degree of map control. It's not just one particular race has total map control right now. Arguably, you could say that that's going to happen as the Mutos are going to shut down these Reapers now. But I love that whole idea that there's just a bunch of Speedlings running around, and either one of the players could seize map control at any moment. These Lings, though, do force all of the Reapers back home. That's going to buy Silky enough time to build up that Mutaflock to a large enough number that the Reapers cannot just meander around the map, picking off units, killing off hatcheries. A 4th expansion only just now getting reestablished, by the way, so seems like Silky opted to go for the normal 4th instead. Reapers, funny enough, gonna go uncontested as they make their way over to that 4th. with this many Reaper grenades, can they actually get a cancel on this? They may even be willing to sacrifice their lives for this. Oh my god, look at the damage being dealt. Gets a kill, not even a cancel. The Reapers also go up to the cliff. Now the mutas will be able to eventually kill off every single one of these Reapers. But in the meanwhile, they are going to be trading out for as many Lings as possible. Throwing down a few grenades, it seems like that's going to be it. But gold expansion gets canceled. Masa comes in with all of his Marines on the south front. And Silky just cannot establish a solid economy. He has not been able to get up that 4th expansion. Whereas Masa, surprisingly enough, has. It's a Terran player that's ahead on bases. Not just tied up on bases with the Zerg player, or even behind on bases. Mutas not able to get a whole lot of damage done so far, and Masa is now going to be getting a bit further ahead on those upgrades. He was sitting behind for a little bit with a +2 melee finished up, but now his own 2-2 finishes up. And it's no longer 2-1 versus 2-2, or 2-1 versus 1-1. It's 2-1 versus 2-2. There we go. Oh man, Masa is brutal about canceling that 4th expansion. I think he knows that is the way he can win this game, is just continue to delay that 4th. He's moving into the top right hand side once again. Silky is desperately trying to go for a double expand both to the north side, but I don't think either of these are going to finish unless Masa just doesn't notice that other one, the top center. There is a Mutaflock that's gone on the south side, but that means that's just going to be out of position to help deal with this. The Marines get on top of the hatchery. At the same time, there's a drop in the natural expansion. Baneling's trying to flood in, but these Marines are relatively well spread out. And in fact, even though most of them do get cleaned up, 2 of them survive. The hatchery goes down, and the Mutaflock is pushed back home. Moss is just taking every single one of these engagements. He hasn't lost any of these. And now, Masa has continued to deny the 4th long enough that he is just snowballing, I feel like. Up 40 supply. He moves forward. He's got his 1 patented Thor that he can micro his heart out with and kill an infinite number of mutas with. Widowmine gets a burrow off and there's no detection. Oh god, Widowmine gets a lot of kills on those Lings. Thankfully, at least not Banelings, but god. That's mostly because there aren't that many Banelings to even kill off right now. Masa is spending a lot of time killing off creep tumors, but the medevac finally does lift up and fly away for now. And then flies immediately back. Oh my god. Masa, you beast. Well, the mutas are not going to fall prey to this. They do all move over to the main base, and they are going to get the cleanup. Well, that means that once again, they're going to be out of position to help defend that 4th expansion. Looks like this expansion did finish up. Masa's still unaware of it. There's an attempted Ling run by, killing off a good chunk of SCVs on the right-hand side of the map. So, not everything is going poorly for Silky, but I think Masa's more okay with losing a few workers than Silky is at this stage. More and more creep tumors being picked off. Okay, it looks like Masa's gonna just try and stem out of here. Retreat back to the safety of the rest of his army. Which isn't even that much of an army because Masa's been so split up around the map. Mutas finally building up to very, very large numbers though. Going after the command center, they do get it. Thor getting some big splash damage done. In conjunction with those Marines, it seems like Silky is going to have to back out of there, but that is a big win. Shutting down the 5th expansion of Masa is really, really important right now because his own economy has been so ridiculously delayed. If Masa just continued to get up a better and better economy, eventually Silky would have absolutely no chance in this game. He's still in a very rough spot right now, sitting down 38 army supply or 36 army supply, but he's got a chance. It's reliant on a big engagement. Oh god, the Widowmine hits. Looks like able to get some really, really nice shots off on these mutas. The muta count actually dwindled a good bit. Goes back to clean up some of those Widowmines. But Masa continuing to push forward. Pushes forward on the south side while he also moves in from the north, cleaning up some of the creep. Oh my god, the mutas though! The mutas going right over the Marines with the Thor! Oh god, every single muta evaporates! And GG gets called. Masa takes the 3-0 over Silky. Moves on to the winners round of 8. Okay. Well then. Congratulations to Masa. Did end up advancing on with a 3-0 to the winners round of 8. With some pretty damn impressive and scary play. Making Terran look a little bit imbalanced right now. I'm not saying Terran's imbalanced. I have no opinions on this balance stuff. But Masa makes it look scary. That's just how good of a player he is. Either way, though, ladies and gentlemen, that means that we're going to be hopping into our next series. We're going to go to a very short break while I just kind of let my voice rest for a moment, because we got a lot of games coming out today. Just to give you guys a preview of at least the winners round of 16 matches, we have Masa versus Selkie that just concluded. We have Raze versus Jon Snow coming up after this. Then we're going to go into Puck versus Game Time, and then Volts versus True. So we got a Terran versus Zerg, a Protoss versus Zerg, and a Zerg versus Zerg. Good day to be a Zerg player in North America. After that, we're going to be hopping over to the Losers Round 1 and the Losers Round 2 matches, which are best of 3s instead of best of 5s. But with that being said, we'll see you guys in a little bit with more WCS NHL.